Okay. So in the evaluation of the integrals, the very first rule that we have seen, that is trapezoidal rule, and then we have seen Simpson's 1/3 rule, and today we are going to see Simpson's 3/8 rule. Okay. So what actually the trapezoidal rule? In the trapezoidal rule, the entire interval is considered as only one odd. Means we just have two nodal points. We just have two nodal points and nothing else, the initial point and the end point. And then for the same interval, what we have used the technique called the composition. That is, by dividing the interval into n number of subintervals, with obviously n number of subintervals means here you will be having n plus 1 nodal points. This is what we call the composite trapezoidal rule, and in each subinterval we will apply the trapezoidal rule. Second subinterval, kth subinterval, and nth subinterval. We will apply the trapezoidal rule, and we will combine all of them, and we will say that is the composite trapezoidal rule that can be evaluated that can be used for to evaluate some integrals. Okay. Now, and then we have discussed Simpson's 1/3 rule. What about Simpson's 1/3 rule? We have an interval initially A, B. Here we considered, here we have only two nodal points, and here we considered three nodal points, x0 and x1, and obviously it is the, sorry, this is x1, this will be the x2. X1 is the midpoint of x0 and x2. So we have considered the three nodal points of the given interval. That is what we call the classical Simpson's 1/3 rule. And the same technique can be developed by dividing the entire interval into even number of subintervals 2n. Even number of subintervals. Okay. So this is x0, this is x1 and x2. From x0 to x2, I can consider this as one interval where this is the midpoint of this interval, and I can apply the Simpson's 1/3 rule here. And then similarly, from x2 to x4, I can apply the Simpson's 1/3. I can consider this is the one interval, and I can apply the Simpson's 1/3 rule in this interval, and at the same time, similarly here also. Here you should remember here every time in the Simpson's 1/3 rule, we need to divide the entire interval into even number of subintervals. 2 times n into subintervals. Obviously, number of nodal points will be 2n plus 1. Okay. Now what is Simpson's 3/8 rule? And this is okay. This is what we call the composite Simpson's 1/3 rule, and we have the formula, and we have done all. Okay. So now here it comes. The last one in the syllabus, that is what we call the Simpson's 3/8 rule. Other than these three rules, there are many other rules are also available. Okay, but they are not in this course. That's all. Okay. Now, in this in the Simpson's 3/8 rule, what we have to do? We need to take the interval AB. This is the one interval A to B. Here, we will consider 4 nodal points. 4 nodal points. That means x0, x1, x2, and x3, as it is mentioned already. Sorry. Yeah, 4 nodal points. So obviously, what is the Yeah, sorry. Here n is equal to 3. N is equal to 3 means 4 nodal points will come, x0, x1, x2, and x3. So what about the length of the each subinterval? Length of the each subinterval h is b minus a upon 3. Here 4 is n plus 1 nodal points. Okay. N plus 1 nodal points. Here, so how they then what will be the points? Initial point is a itself, and the final point x3 is b itself. So in between a plus h, a plus b minus a upon 3, that will give you 2a plus b upon 3, and a plus 2h will give us the point x2, the nodal point x2. That is a plus 2h upon 3. A plus 2b upon 3. Okay, and if we add x2 plus h, we will get x3. That is nothing but a plus 3h, and that is nothing but b. Okay, so obviously value of the function at this point is represented with small f0. At x1, it is represented with f1. At x2, f2, and at x3, it is represented with f3. Now, in the Simpson's 3/8 rule also, we are going to use the approximating polynomial using the Lagrange interpolating polynomial. In all the three methods, trapezoidal rule, Simpson's 1/3 rule, Simpson's 3/8 rule also, everywhere we have used Lagrange interpolating polynomial only. So what is the format of what is the form of the Lagrange interpolating polynomial? It is f0 of x times f0, capital F1 of x times f1, capital F2 of x times f2, capital F3 of x times f3. Right? So obviously, when you evaluate integral a to b f of x dx, so integral split it. So finally, what about this f0, f1, f2, and f3? Each of them are polynomials of degree exactly equal to n. Means in this case exactly equal to 3. Okay, here n is equal to 3, right? Now, if you evaluate the integral, then obviously f0 is a constant. So integral a to b f0 of x dx. So that is what we are calling it as lambda naught. See here, lambda naught. Lambda 1 is integral a to b f1 of x dx. Lambda 2 is integral a to b f2 of x dx, and lambda 3 also. So here basically k is equal to 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now to evaluate this integral, what is x? X is any number that belongs to the interval a comma b. Okay. So I have used the transformation here. The variable x is transformed to the another variable s, where x0 is the initial point of the interval, that is a, fixed, and h is the length of the each subinterval, so that is also fixed. So s is the variable. So if I use this transformation, what I will get here, first thing, dx will be equal to h times ds, right? So dx is replaced with h times dx. And what is the substitute? What about the interval? What about the limits? X is equal to a. So x0 is also a. So a will get cancelled. H will be 0. Sorry, s will be 0. Okay. And when x0 is equal to x is equal to b, b minus a, h is b minus a upon 3. B minus a will get cancelled. So s will be 3. Okay. So this is how the lambda case, the scalars have been transformed to another variable in terms of s, integrals in terms of s. Okay, and of course, because of the equispaced nodal points, we have already seen. Because of the equispaced nodal points, we have already seen how this fk of x0 plus sh they look like. Generally, what are these one? These are the Lagrange fundamental polynomials, and they are having a very particular format that is there. But when the nodal points are equispaced, this is what this is the another form of the Lagrange fundamental polynomials, right? So here n is equal to 3 and k runs from 0 to 3. So obviously, now what about this one? Actually, minus 1 to the power n minus k upon k factorial times n minus k factorial. S into s minus 1 into s minus k plus 1 and s minus, what is missing here? S minus k is missing. It will not be there. Okay. And remaining all the factors will be there. Right. So if you start from the evaluating lambda naught, n is equal to 3 for the Simpson's 3/8 rule. N is equal to 3. Remember, it is fixed. Okay, 3 subintervals minimum we require for Simpson's 3/8 rule. So lambda naught is equal to -1 to the power 3 minus k is 0 here. Substitute here, and then what we will get here. So integral of this fk of, see, look at here, integral of 0 to 3 fk of x naught plus h times h into ds. H is also fixed, so that is b minus a by 3. So that is also taken out. So this is a scalar. This is also taken out of the integration. So the only thing is left. Since here k is equal to 0, s factor will not come, but other than the s remaining, everything will come. So s minus 1 into s minus 2 into s minus 3 into ds. So here I have evaluated, and we will get here, if we substitute the limits, then finally we will get 3 times h upon 8. So similarly, lambda 1, k is equal to 1 here, n is fixed, n is 3 only. So -1 to the power 3 minus 1 upon 1 factorial times 2 factorial. And this is h. And then k is equal to 1. So s minus 1 will be missing here. S into s minus 2 into s minus 3 into ds. And after evaluating the integral and substituting the limits, this is what we will get. 9 into h upon 3. Okay. And similarly, lambda 2 also we can evaluate. That is also same as lambda 1, and lambda 3 is same as lambda naught. So 3h upon 8, 9h upon 8, 9h upon 8, 9h upon 8. Okay. So though I have evaluated already, just to save little time, so it is your duty to evaluate the integrals and obtain what is lambda 1, lambda 2, and lambda 3, everything. Okay. Okay, fine. So finally, what is the idea? Idea is to evaluate integral a to b f of x dx. That is can be approximated with this expression. That is what we have already seen. Now, lambda naught, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3. In every way, 3 times h upon 8 is common. 3 times h upon 8, 3 times h upon 8, 3 times h upon 8 is common. So 3 times h upon 8 times f naught. Here, for lambda 1 and lambda 2, 9h upon 8, so 3 will be there. So 3 times f1 plus 3 times f2 plus f3. So this is the rule called Simpson's 3/8 rule. Simpson's 3/8 rule. Look at here. Similarly, Simpson's 1/3 rule also you will get here h by 3. Coefficient is 1/3. Okay. So this is the formula. How to derive the formula? This is the method. Okay, right. Now let us see what is the error in this with the help using this formula. How to find the error? What is the order of the method? What is the order of the method? Order of the method is the maximum degree of the polynomial for which the method, the integration rule approximates, gives the integral values exactly without any error. For example, if you take constant functions or polynomials of degree 0, in particularly for when fx is equal to the constant function, that is 1, integral value is b minus a, that is fine. And if we use the formula, what we will get? 3/8. Okay. H is b minus a upon 3. Okay. F naught is 1. F1 is 1. F2 is 1. F3 is 1. So 8 will get cancelled. 3 will get cancelled. So you will get b minus a. So if you look at for polynomials of degree 0, we are getting the integration rule is gives us the exact value without any error. Similarly, for polynomials of degree 1, particularly for x, if you look at, this is the integration value, that is b square minus a square upon 2, that is fine. If we use the formula, then what we will get? 3/8 times h is b minus a by 3. Okay, fine. F naught, f of x is equal to x, right? F of x is equal to x, that is the function. F naught means f at a, that is a, 3 times. F1 means f at 2a plus b upon 3, that is the nodal point, second nodal point. F2 means 3 times. F2 means x2. x2 is a plus 2b by 3 plus f3. f3 means b, so that is b. So here also, if you simplify the this expression and if you further, if you after few calculations, what we will get? B square minus a square upon 2. This is what you will get. So for polynomial of degree 1 also, we are getting the exact values without any error. Similarly, the same thing is happening for polynomials of degree 2 and polynomials of degree 3 also. The same thing is happening here. But for the polynomials of degree 4, it is not the case. For the polynomials of degree 4, that is not the case. Okay. This is the integral value after evaluating by the direct integration methods. B to the power 5 minus a to the power 5 upon 5. But if we evaluate the integral value using the formula, using the Simpson's rule formula, this is what we will get. This is what we will get. Okay. Yes, you can do simplification that these two are in generally they are not equal until unless a is equal to b, and if a is equal to b, that is only to evaluate the integration. Okay. So what is the basically at this point what we can say at this point up to the polynomials degree up to 3. The Simpson's 3/8 rule is providing exact result, whereas for polynomials of order 4 there is an error. So the order of the Simpson's 3/8 rule is p is equal to 3. Let me recall, order of Simpson's 1/3 rule is also p is equal to 3. Okay, and for the 3/8 rule also order of the order is same. Okay, that is same. Now, what is the error term? Who will give the error term? Error term is given by Rn of f comma x is equal to c upon p plus 1 factorial times p plus 1th derivative of f at xi. Okay, fine. Now, what about this c? C is nothing but the difference between the exact value and the approximate value for the function x to the power 4. Okay. So C is this one. It is the exact value and it is the approximate value. So if you consider the modulus on both the sides, so in place of C, this is what we will get minus 3 upon 80 times h to the power 5, and p is equal to 3, right? So p plus 1 fourth derivative of f at xi, where xi is any number, xi belongs to the interval a comma b. So if you use the modulus and if you consider the maximum of the fourth order derivative of f, so we will get this inequality less than or equal to 3 by 80 times h to the power 5 times maximum of a is less than xi is less than b of the function fourth order derivative of f. So this is the error term. This is the error term in the classical Simpson's 3/8 rule. Now the idea remains, the same idea can be also be developed, generalized, the composite Simpson's 3/8. The composite Simpson's 3/8 rule. What is the composite Simpson's 3/8 rule says? The composite Simpson's 3/8 rule says, in the trapezoidal rule, we have divided into n number of subintervals. In the composite Simpson's 1/3 rule, we have divided the interval into 2 times means even number of subintervals. Okay, like 2n subintervals. In the Simpson's 3/8 rule, what we have to do? We have to divide the rule into 3n subintervals. Why? Because if you look at the classical case, in this case, what we require, we need 3 subintervals. Here also a is equal to b, but here we need 3 subintervals itself we need it here. Okay, that is the reason we have to consider here. We have to consider we have to consider we have to divide the entire interval a comma b into 3n subintervals, like 3 intervals. If it is 3, that is a classical one, or 6, 9, 12, 15 and so on. Okay, so obviously now what about the value, what about the h, the length of the each subinterval? There is a mistake here. The length, what is the length of each subinterval? It is b minus a upon 3 times n. b minus a upon 3 times n. Now how many nodal points will be there? Nodal points will be 3n plus 1 nodal points will be there. Okay, so fine, let us see that one. So x0, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6 and so on. The last one is x3n. Before that x3n minus 1. Before that x3n minus 2. Before that x3n minus 3. 3n minus 3 can be written as 3 times n minus 1. Now what we are doing here? Now we are not applying the Simpson's 3/8 rule in every subinterval. We are not applying that one. If you look at, if you recall Simpson's composite Simpson 1/3 rule also, we have not applied in every subinterval. What we have taken? We have taken a combination of 2 consecutive subintervals. Okay. Since for the Simpson 3/8 rule, we need a minimum of 3 subintervals. So we need to take up to x0 to x3. How many will be there? 1, 2, 3. 3 subintervals are there. Okay. Now, in this, considering x0 to x3 as one interval, x0 to x3 as one interval, where h is b minus a upon 3n. Okay. Apply the Simpson's 3/8 rule here in this interval. Apply Simpson's 3/8 rule in this interval. Okay. And then after that, starting from x3, we need to take 3 subintervals. So that is 1, 2, 3. So up to x6 we have to consider. So now in this subintervals, apply Simpson's 3/8 rule again. So similarly, s6 to next one will be x9, x9 to x12, like that it will go. So obviously, when the last nodal point is x3n, so what will be the last interval in which we have to consider the Simpson's 3/8 rule? It is x 3 times n minus 1, x 3n minus 2, x 3n minus 1, and x 3n. So considering this one entire thing as one unit, one interval, and we apply the Simpson's 3/8 rule here. So that is what it is written. So integral on the entire domain a to b, we have split it into x0 to x, integral from x0 to x3, integral from x3 to x6, integral from x6 to x9, and integral from x3n minus 1 to x3n. This division is always we can do it. Okay. That is what we have done it. Okay. Now within this interval, if you apply the Simpson's 3/8 rule, what we will get? 3/8 times h. H is the length of the subintervals. So that is fixed in all the cases. Okay. Anyway, 3/8 times h, value of f at initial point, plus 3 times value of f at x1, 3 times value of f at x2, plus value of f at the final. So that is what we will get, f0 plus 3 times f1, 3 times f2 plus f3. So this is for this. Now, what about for the next integration? Next integration, we will get this. And if you write the third integration also, for third integration, we will get this one. And finally, for the last integration, this is what we will get. 3h, 3 by 8 times h, value of f at the initial point. In this interval, what is the initial point? 3 times n minus 1 plus 3 times f at 3n minus 2 plus 3 times f at 3n minus 1 plus f at the final point, that is 3. Now, in all the terms, 3 times h upon 8 is a common factor, so that is taken common. Okay, 3 times h upon 8, and if you add all the intermediate values, so this is what the expression you will get it. So this is f naught, okay, and 3 times f1, 3 times f2, 3 times f4, 3 times f5, 3 times f7, 3 times f8. So this is what we will get. What actually we are getting 3 times all the functional values of f except at the multiples of 3. Like f3 is not there, f6 is not there, f9 will not be there, and f3n will not be. Why? Because here f1, f2 they are coming 3 times, but look at f3. F3 comes once here and once here, only 2 times. So that is 2 times f3, and similarly f6 once here and once here. So 2 times f6 and f9 also 2 times f9 up to what? f3n minus 1 only. But when it comes to the 3n, it is a final point, so it will not get another. We will not get another f3n, so it will be only 1 into f3n. So this is what we call the composite Simpson's 3/8 rule. Okay. So basically what we have done, we have divided the entire interval into 3n subintervals, and in a combination of 3 consecutive subintervals, we have applied the Simpson's 3/8 rule and we have simplified, we got a formula. Now in this case, what will be the error term? Error term remains the same thing. In the first case, what we here, what will be the error term? The same thing here, minus 3 upon 80 times h to the power 5 times fourth order derivative of f at xi1. But what about xi1? Xi1 lies between the initial point and the end point. So that is x0 to x3. And from here to here, we will get xi2. And from here to here, we will get xi1. And from here to here, we will get xi3n. Why? Because 3n subintervals, xi_n. Okay. So that is what this is there. This is the expression. Okay. So if you consider the modulus of this error terms, so it is always less than or equal to 3 by 80 times. So now how many will be there here? Xi is a capital N will be there. Capital N only, not 3n. Why? Because we are not applying the Simpson's 3/8 rule in each subinterval. We are taking a combination of 3. So this entire thing gives 1 xi1. This entire thing gives 1 xi2. And similarly, this entire thing is 1 xin. Okay, so there will be capital N xis times h to the power 5. Here h is also fixed here, b minus a upon 3, b minus a upon 3 times capital N. Okay, if you would like to write the error term in terms of b minus a, substitute h and simplify. That's all. And the maximum of the fourth order derivative of f in the domain a comma. So this is what the error term. So with the help of this is the maximum error possible. So with the help of this one, suppose if the error tolerance epsilon is given to us, then we can decide how many subintervals that we are required to get the error tolerance, to get the values below the error tolerance. Okay. So this is what we call the error term in the composite Simpson's 3/8 rule. Now let us, so far anyone of you have doubts? So far anyone of you have doubts? If you have any doubt, please ask me now.
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
so in the previous Simpsons one third rule, for the error calculation, you had already put there 2n, but here why we are taking only n? Why not 3n?
Where?
Sir, in the last step, last step.
In the Simpsons 1/3 or 3/8?
Sir, in one third you took it as 2n, but here you are taking it as only n. Why not 3n? Yes, sir. Sir, that one.
Yeah. What is the error term in the classical 1/3 rule?
Sir, in the one third rule, we divided the given interval A to B in 2n subintervals. So for the
Yes.
error calculation, we took there in the last step when R2 of f of x we are calculating,
Yes.
and there, sir, below this, sir, can you scroll it more? So further down. Yeah, yes, sir. This one, red circle. Sir, this 2n.
No, it should be n only.
Okay, sir.
This should be n only. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. So let us solve one problem now. Evaluate the same integral. Integral 0 to 1 upon 3 plus 2x dx. Integral 0 to 1 upon 3 plus 2x. So f of x is equal to 1 upon 3 plus 2x. So now we need this. First, let us do the for the case of number of subintervals. Number of subintervals, that is 3n is equal to minimum 3 we can, which basically gives capital N is equal to 1, or 3n can be 6 also. For these two cases we will solve. Okay. First, case 1, 3n is equal to 3. 3n is equal to 3 means 0, 1. So this is x0, and this will be x3. In between two equispaced points. So that is x1 is x1 and another one is x2. What will be the idea here? What about h here? H is b minus a upon capital 3n. So that is 1 upon 3. Right? So obviously x1 is 1 by 3, x2 is 2 by 3. Okay. Now, what is the Simpson 3/8 rule says 0 to 1 fx dx is equal to 3 by 8 times h times value of f at x0, 3 times f1, 3 times f2 plus f3. So that is 3 by 8 times h is 1 by 3 times F naught is value of f at 0. Value of f at 0. What is f here? F is 1 upon 3 plus 2x. X is 0, so you will get 1 by 3 plus 3 times value of f1. So let me write it again here, 1 upon 3 plus 2x. This is f. Okay, so x1 value at this point, one x is at 1 by 3. What we will get? 1 by 3, 2 by 3. So 3 by 11 and plus 3 times. What about this one? At 2 by 3, what is the value? 2 by 3, 4 by 3, 9 plus 4, 13, 3 by 13 plus at x is equal to 1, 1 upon 5. Okay, that's all. Simplify it, add and multiply and whatever do the calculation, you will get the approximate integration value using Simpson's 3/8 rule. Okay, this is very classical one. If you ask for the next case, so that is case 2. Case 2, that is 3n is equal to 6. In this case, what about h? H is b minus a upon 3n, and hence it is 1 upon 6. 1 upon 6. So basically, this is 0 to 1. This is given by x naught, and this is will be given by x6. And then in between we will be having some x3. Now what about the other points here? 2 points here. One is x1 and this is x2, and here also 2 more, x4 and x5. Okay. Now 1 by 6. So x1 is here. This is 1 by 6. This is 2 by 6, and then this is 1 by 2, and then 1 by 2 means 3 by 6. 4 by 6 means 2 by 3. Am I right? And this is 5 by 6, and finally 1. Right? Now, in this case, what is the approximate value? 0 to 1 fx dx is 3 by 8 times h f naught plus 3 times f1 plus f2 plus f4 plus f5 plus 2 times f3 plus f6. Okay, so that is 3 by 8 times h is 1 by 6 and then f naught. So the value of f at 1 by 6. So let me write the function again. 1 by 3 plus 2x. At x is equal to 0, it is 1 by 3 plus 3 times f1, value of f at 1. So at 1 by 6, here 1 by 6, 1 by 3. So 3 by 10 plus value of f at 2. This is 1 by, sorry, something is missing. Yeah, 1 by 3. So 1 by 3, 2 by 3, 3 plus 2, 11. 3 by 11, and then not yet f3, and not yet x3. Then x4 and x5 we need to evaluate. 2 by 3, 2 by 3, 4 by 3, 4 by 3, 3 into 3, 9 plus 4, 13. And then 5 by 6, 5 by 6, 5 by 6, 2 into 5, 10, 10 plus 18, 28, 28, 6 upon 28, 3 upon 14. Whether I have done any mistake here, or is it fine? I think it is fine. And then 2 times value of f at 3, so that is 1 by 2, 2 will get cancelled, so that is 1 by 4 plus f6, that is 1, so that is 1 by 5. So do the simplification and find the value. So this is what you will get. Okay. And another on the other side, suppose if epsilon is equal to 10 to the power minus 4, this is the error tolerance. Find the number of subintervals required. Find the number of subintervals required. Okay, so that the error tolerance is less than error tolerance will be 10 to the power minus 4. Okay, now for this one, number of subintervals, what is that error formula here? We have 3 upon 80 times n into h to the power 5 maximum of fourth order derivative. Okay, let me write it again. Yeah, so let me write it again. Generally, the error term are 3. Why this is 3? Why? Because we need minimum 3 subintervals. Okay, in here in the Simpson's 3/8 rule, n is equal to 3. Because of that reason, is less than or equal to 3 by 80 times h to the power 5 and times maximum of a is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 1 modulus of f fourth order derivative of f. Yeah, this is b. Am I right? Have I done any mistake? Some n term is missing, right? 3 by 80 capital N times. Yeah, this is capital F. But here already h is b minus a upon 3n. Am I right? So this will be equal to 3n upon 80 times b minus a. What is b minus a? B minus a upon 5 upon 3n to the power 5 times. What about the maximum of this one? This is what we need to evaluate. But what we are expecting? We are expecting this is less than epsilon. So this should be less than 10 to the power minus 4. Okay. Now, but what we do not know, everything is fine. But what we do not know, what is the maximum of the fourth order derivative of f? So that is what we need to evaluate. So for this, f of x is equal to 1 upon 3 plus 2x. Derivative is minus 1 upon 3 plus 2x square times 2. The double derivative is minus 4, sorry, plus 4 upon 3 plus 2x cube times 2. So this will be 8. And then third order derivative is will be minus 24 upon 3 plus 2x to the power 4 times 2, and then finally the fourth order derivative will be so minus 4, so minus 8. So basically that will be minus into minus plus. So 24 into 8 into again 2 will come upon 3 plus 2x to the power 5. Now what we want the maximum of this function in the interval. Therefore, maximum of this function in the interval 0 is less than x is less than 1. So what will be this one? Any guess? It will be 20. It will be 24 times 8 times 2 upon 3 to the power 4. Okay. Why? Because as the denominator decreases, the value raises here, right? So because of that reason, and then the numerator does not affect. So this is the maximum value. So now you substitute everything here. So here what we have here we have 24 times 8 times 2 upon 3 to the power 4. Now if you simplify here, this one, you will get the value n. For example, here look at here, this is 1 to the power 5, that is same only. So finally what we will get here? Okay, finally here 3 is there, so many calculations. I think you please you continue this one. Okay, and to evaluate the value n. Okay, 3 to the power 5. 3 to the power 5 where ma here below. Yes, you are right. This is 5. This is 5. This is 5. Okay, and from this one you will get the value n. But how many number of subintervals are required? It is not n. Number of subintervals required is 3n. Remember that. In the Simpson's 1/3 rule, number of subintervals required 2n. When it is a number, it should be an integer. Okay, so keep all these things in mind, and in giving the number of subintervals that required to get the error tolerance. Okay, so that's all about the evaluation of the integrals using the numerical techniques. So this is where the third unit ends. So tomorrow we are going to start the unit probability. Okay, probability you have already come across in your +2, but tomorrow will be little recalling section only, since it's been more than 1.5 years for you. So it will be just a recall in one section, and then we will get into the actual concepts. So that's all. So I'm closing the section now. If you have any doubts, you are most welcome. Thank you all.